Hey guys, this is Bharadwaj with Phone Arena, and as a part of the Lumia 920 versus the flagship series, we've got the iPhone 5 here today. So we are going to compare the Apple iPhone 5, the smartphone flagship from Apple, or the only smartphone flagship from Apple, versus the Nokia Lumia 920, which is Nokia's current flagship. So we are going to compare both these devices. The iPhone 5, as you know, is part of the uh, always ever popular iPhone series of smartphone devices from Apple, and has been a small upgrade from the 4S, but with significant changes in design and screen. So we'll talk about more about the iPhone 5 in detail. And as you know, the Lumia 920 is probably the most well-packaged smartphone in terms of features, but the OS is something we have to compromise with. So we'll talk about that too in detail. So that's going to be the comparison between the Lumia 920 and the Apple iPhone 5. So let's talk about the design, build, and ergonomics of both these devices. When considering the design, the iPhone 5 is a nice step up from the iPhone 4S with its always present unibody design, but this time fully aluminum, and it loses the glass backing. So the black version doesn't have glass on the back, it's completely aluminum, and you can still have glass on the top and the bottom of the back. So that's a huge difference in the iPhone's design, and it's completely matte. So it looks absolutely beautiful, and on the sides even you can see that the bands are not actually openings but actually filled with some kind of thing that makes it look very premium. And change from the 4S is that it incorporates a nano SIM slot instead of a micro SIM slot on the 4S. So that's a minor change. And on the front, you can see that the display is a bit longer. And that's because the display is actually longer in length, not the width. The width remains the same, and it has become one icon row taller, which means that it has added a few more pixels in the height. So it's 4 inches in diagonal, and the height actually adds one row of icons on iOS 6, and that's only on the iPhone 5, that is. So that's a huge change when you compare it with the 4S. And the design language pretty much remains the same. Since the 4, the iPhone completely lost its curves on the back, and on the sides it's been completely flat. And of course on the edges it's been curvy since the beginning, so it hasn't lost its complete design philosophy, but it still resembles a lot of the iPhone 4, just in an elongated form. But the back, the complete aluminum back, remains much of the original iPhone, which had a complete aluminum casing on the back with a plastic strip at the bottom. So that's about the iPhone 5. It still looks ridiculously good, and it's definitely very premium looking with the glass on the front and the beautiful aluminum on the back. So let's talk about the 920 for a bit. This design, as we know, very familiar since the Nokia N9 with its fabulous design philosophy. Unlike the iPhone, there are a lot of changes with the Lumia 920. So the sides are completely curved, and this is part of the philosophy in which Nokia wants to make you feel that you are holding a single piece of monolithic thing. So the display curves into the sides, making it seem like a one piece of a device. So the device actually feels like a sturdy single piece, and it's made up of polycarbonate unibody. And on the right side you can see that there are the only buttons, unlike the capacitive buttons here, these are the only hardware buttons on the phone. And on the back you can see the zirconium strip that has been there since the Nokia N9, but in a different material. It was stainless steel, now it's zirconium, and it's non-scratchable. So that's a good thing. And this is glossy white version we have here. There are also matte versions which feels a lot more premium than the glossy version, but still it's pretty dense and feels very premium from a user standpoint. So on the front you have just the glass which goes onto the sides, and the top and the bottom are flat. So that's basically Nokia's design, and it's pretty much very nice looking. And even though it looks a lot familiar, like the Nokia N9, the Lumia 800, the Lumia 900, still feels good, but not as fresh as it was. We can say that similar to the iPhone 5, similar for the iPhone 5, because the design philosophy since the iPhone 4 has been the same, but we definitely do welcome the nice new materials added to the back and the sides, which feels a lot more premium than the iPhone 4S was. And of course increases the durability, because there is no glass for easy breakage. So about the build, both these phones are extremely well built. Even though this is plastic, it is so dense that it feels a lot premium than other plastics. So it is definitely a premium. Even with the Lumia 900, we used to term the plastic as some sort of ivory kind of thing. It is actually so dense. So like I said earlier, the lack of a glass backing and the presence of aluminum backing on the back of the iPhone 5 is actually adequate for protection. A large case of returns for the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 4S was the broken glass back. So that's completely eliminated with the iPhone 5's design. So that's about the design, build and ergonomics of these devices. So let's take a look at the bare dimensions. What about the thickness and the size? So let's compare the size. As you can see here, the iPhone 5 feels a lot smaller than the Nokia Lumia 920. Even though the iPhone 5 might be as tall as the 920, ridiculously closely tall, with huge bezels on the top and the bottom of the iPhone 5, you can see here that it's almost as tall. But when it comes to the width, the iPhone 5 is very narrow with the Lumia 920 and its 15:9 aspect ratio screen, and of course the slightly larger side bezels on the Lumia 920. It's very large. So when you compare it side by side, you can see how large the Lumia 920 is. And also compare the thickness. The Lumia 920 looks like a giant when placed besides the iPhone 5. So this is 10.7 millimeters thick, and wait for it, the iPhone 5 is just 7.6 millimeters thick. So it might seem fat because of the flat sides, but even with the curved sides, the Lumia 920 is very fat compared to the iPhone 5. And the weight is another question. The Lumia 920 proves yet again it's a giant by weighing 185 grams, whereas the iPhone 5 is paper light at 113 grams. It's one of the lightest smartphones with a premium build, and it feels amazingly light in your hands that you even feel that you wonder whether if there is any battery inside this phone. It's that light. On the other hand, the Lumia 920 is very heavy compared to the iPhone 5, but only when you compare it as a standalone smartphone, it might not be that heavy, but it's still subjective to users' tastes and preferences. It definitely feels heavier in the pocket. So that's about the dimensions when it concerns the actual dimensions of both these phones. Overall, we feel that the iPhone is very portable and very pocketable, unlike the Nokia Lumia 920, which is very heavy in the pocket, but that might be a deal breaker for some not. So that's it for the dimensions. And next we come to the display. So the iPhone 5 has an extra row of icons and an elongated display when compared to the iPhone 4S. So this 4-inch display is 4 inches in diagonal and has a resolution of about 1136 by 640. So the PPI is around 326, which makes it still worthy of the Retina title. And the Lumia 920 on the other hand has a 4.5 inch screen with a 1280 by 768 display. So this is a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, while this is a 15 by 9 aspect ratio, so it's a bit wide and has a PPI of slightly above the Retina display, which is at 332 PPI. The Retina display is still class leading with excellent color accuracy and viewing angles, as you can see right here. It's absolutely stunning to look at, and the pixel density is not a complaint at all. It's looks like paper and operates very smoothly. So that's the advantage of the iPhone 5 and has really one of the best screens. But the Lumia 920 packs a lot more features. The screen is actually really nice with the pixel density beating the Retina display. And of course, there are a lot more to this display than the iPhone 5. So it has a clear black coating for better outdoor visibility. It's a polarizer coating. It's called a Pure Motion HD Plus display. HD Plus is the resolution, and Pure Motion means that it has a 60 Hz refresh rate. You might not be able to see that on the camera because the camera can record only 24 frames per second. But this display is so smooth that it actually runs at 60 frames per second and makes the OS look very smooth and at the same time very crisp. And other advantages being that you can use the Lumia 920 with gloves on. So people living in the very harsh winter weather can actually use the Lumia 920 unlike other devices. So that's what's going for the Nokia Lumia 920's display. It's a stunning display and is slightly warm when compared with the other displays, but the iPhone 5 is very neat and displays colors very accurately. So that's the difference between the displays. What about the other hardware then? So internally, both these phones are very capable. The iPhone 5 has an Apple A6 processor, which is a dual core chip and runs at about 1.2 gigahertz. So it scales down and scales up variably, so we can't say for sure. And has a 3-core PowerVR SGX MP3 graphics. So it has 3 cores, while the Lumia 920 runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus processor at 1.5 gigahertz and has Adreno 225 graphics. So in terms of raw power, the iPhone 5 easily beats the Lumia 920 in terms of performance, and having a little bit lesser of a resolution than the Lumia 920 works to its advantage. So it's blazing fast and the operation of apps are ridiculously smooth and very fast. So even video editing tasks are handled pretty well on the iPhone 5, but the Lumia 920 doesn't even have apps like that to prove its power. So while day-to-day performance might be very similar and Windows Phone operating system being as smooth as iOS in some places, so pretty much the same, but otherwise the iPhone 5 wins in performance in both software as well as hardware. And while talking about the RAM sizes, both these phones have a gigabyte of RAM and come in various storage sizes with respect to the iPhone. So it comes in 16, 32 and 64 gigabyte variants, while the Lumia 920 comes in 32 gigabyte only. Also, both these phones have non-removable back covers and sealed batteries. So that's considered a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to power enthusiasts, but otherwise pretty much the same. So let's talk about the cameras then. That's the big deal when people look at high-end smartphones these days. So both these cameras are really special. The iPhone 5 has an 8 megapixel camera unit and it's almost the same as the iPhone 4S except for the sapphire crystal lens that that Apple had introduced with the iPhone 5. And there is a single LED flash here. The Lumia 920 on the other hand has a PureView camera, and the PureView branding is respective to the optical image stabilization unit inside this camera. So it's a 8.7 megapixel sensor It's a hybrid sensor that can support 8 megapixels in 4:3 aspect ratio as well as the 16:9. And the optical image stabilization unit helps in taking absolutely stunning low light pictures, and of course removes shake in video. The iPhone 5 has software stabilization in video but does not work as well as the 920, but equally awesome is the stabilization on the iPhone 5. So the pictures, the still images in daylight are better, clearly better on the iPhone 5. But when it comes to low light performance, the Lumia 920 is marginally better than the iPhone 5. In fact, there is a bit of a difference in the image quality, but definitely if we should prefer a very crisp camera in any situation, that would be the iPhone 5. But the Lumia 920 can do very well in low light situations. And of course the video is very nice. But one major complaint we have with the Lumia 920 is the white balance issues. So each photo will have a different white balance. So that's a bit of an issue when you deeply compare it with the other devices. But the iPhone 5 has no issues. It renders every scene absolutely very well. But the low light, bit of a struggle for the iPhone 5 when it compares to the Lumia 920. And also important to note that both these phones have incorporated panorama into their cameras. So this panorama app is provided by Nokia, and it's added to the lenses part of the camera. But otherwise the iPhone 5 has a built-in panorama feature, and it works very great with 360 degree views of the camera. Also good to note that the iPhone 5 has had HDR from the iPhone since the days of the iPhone 4. So that's a good thing going for the iPhone 5. And the UI wise, the Windows Phone UI is completely bland, and we despise the UI. But the iPhone 5 is pretty basic and works well for casual users, unlike the Lumia 920's Windows Phone UI. You have to dig through a lot of menus to find a lot of stuff, and it might be better than the Lumia 800's Windows Phone 7.5 camera, but still lacks a lot in terms of UI features on the Lumia 920. So that's the camera comparison between them. We definitely like the video output of the Lumia 920 when you compare it with the iPhone 5. And interesting to note that the Lumia 920 incorporates the rich recording technology from Nokia, which means that it has HAAC mics, HAAC mic, just a mono mic for recording while video. So that's about the camera, and otherwise there's not much differences in terms of hardware. So let's talk about the software. So iPhone 5 runs on the latest version of iOS, that is iOS 6. The UI has pretty much become stale since it almost looks exactly since its inception. But the UI does not matter when it comes to the iPhone, because it's the apps that bring new experiences daily. While the UI is different, it's highly subjective for liking on the Lumia 920's Windows Phone 8 operating system. It very much improves over the Windows Phone 7.5 by bringing the desktop Windows kernel and a lot of features like Bluetooth file transfer, which is still lacking on the iPhone. So all those features, and of course NFC support on the Lumia 920. So like we said, the iOS 2 lacks a lot of features like support for NFC and support for wireless charging and lots of new technologies like that. But otherwise the iOS is robust and can do a lot of stuff, still on par with the current situation. But definitely both these operating systems are not as capable as Android. Well, at least iPhone 5 has a notification center. So that's about the differences in software with the iPhone and the Windows Phone. So the Lumia 920 might be good for people looking at Windows Phone. If you want a Windows Phone, then this is the best Windows Phone to get with all these exclusive Nokia apps and services that it comes with. But otherwise, the king of the smartphone world is still the iPhone 5 when you consider why I say that is because of the ecosystem alone. The Apple ecosystem is completely robust with lots of tons and tons of apps and interoperability with iPad and the Mac and whatever. So all these things contribute to the iPhone 5, and of course the iTunes ecosystem along with the music, movies and other services, with every other service in the world having an app for the iPhone, and every other game, AAA rated game debuting on the iPhone. This is the phone to get if you want to be on the bleeding edge of an ecosystem with booming with apps and games. So that's about the iPhone 5 and the Nokia Lumia 920, and that's the comparison. So hit the like button if you like this video, and hit the subscribe button in our channel if you want more videos like this. So that's it for the video, and thanks for watching.